Good morning everyone. Once again I welcome you all to Misostudy. So in this session we will be discussing about the 10 questions which are important as per the chapter environmental issues are considered, and we will be focusing on the 10 questions on the basis of NEET. So let's start the today's session. The first question states that increase in the concentration of toxicant at successive trophic level is known as. Now, a very good question and a very important process also. What happens is that, suppose, let's take an example. We have some small fishes. Let's take an example of phytoplankton. Let's take another example. Phytoplankton are fed upon by zooplanktons. Zooplanktons are fed upon by small fishes. Small fishes are fed upon by large fishes. Large fishes. This is how a whole cycle goes on, starting from the phytoplankton, zooplankton, small fishes and the large fishes. Now there is one problem which is associated with major chemical, that is they remain persistent in nature. For example, DDT. Problem is that they remain persistent. Means they are not degraded. They are not degraded. DDT is a pesticide that we were using from ages. Nowadays the DDT is banned. The reason for that is that whenever we use DDT in agricultural crops, suppose we are using them, and after using those DDT in agriculture process, I saw that after this drainage of that water, the surface runoff water, I saw that those DDT, they enter into the pond ecosystem. As they entered into the pond ecosystem, they are there in the water, and we know that the phytoplanktons, they are growing on those water. Because the phytoplanktons are there, these DDT has a tendency to remain persistent and they have a tendency to accumulate within them. That is accumulation. This is a major problem. They remain accumulated in the phytoplankton, they remain within their body. Now what has happened? They are there in their body. What happened? Suppose there are 100,000 of these. 1,000 of these phytoplanktons are there, and each phytoplankton has around 0.001 ppm. 0.001 ppm is there, each of these phytoplankton. These are zooplankton, they are feeding on the phytoplankton. One zooplankton will not feed on one phytoplankton, rather than they feed more than one of these phytoplankton. So they will feed on more than one or many in their lifetime. After some time, I will see that the concentration which was there in the phytoplankton, now the concentration is more in case of the zooplankton, that you can call it as 0.01 ppm, the more. Similarly, the small fishes, they will feed on more of these phytoplankton, and I will see that the concentration is even more. This is comparatively very high concentration. I am just giving you one example, 0.1 ppm. In the large fishes, I can see that the whole concentration is around 1 ppm. Because they are feeding number of small fishes. One large fish is feeding on number of small fishes, so the accumulation is more in their body. This is called as a biomagnification. That means increases in the concentration of toxicant at the successive trophic level is called as a biomagnification. So the correct option in the question number 1 is the first, biomagnification. Now let's talk about the next question related to question 2. They are discussing about the acid rain. Acid rain is caused by the increase in atmospheric concentration of. Now, what do you mean by the acid rain? Acid rain means in the rain, whenever the rainfall occurs, rather than water, some acid is coming down on the surface of earth. So, what are the different chemicals, what are the different gases which is responsible for the formation of the acid rain? Majorly, what happens in the environment, gases, they are increased. We know that the greenhouse gases, they are increasing day by day, and this is the major problem which we are facing. That's why the optimum temperature which has to be maintained by the greenhouse effect, they are increasing day by day. Temperature is increasing day by day because the gases are increasing day by day. Because of that, the major problem is the acid rain. And the acid comes along with the water. This is because of the formation of sulfuric acid and the nitric acid. That is H2SO4 and HNO3. Sulfuric acid and the nitric acid formation occur. This is because of the gases which is present in the environment, that is called as a SO2 gas and NO2 gas. They are present in the water, they combine with the water droplet which are falling in the form of a rainfall. They combine with them and ultimately these acid formation occur, and these acid they deposit on the surface of earth and they causes a major pollution. So, the correct option as per the question number 2 is considered SO2 and NO2. Question number 2 option is first. Let's talk about next question. Now, they are asking about the United Nations Conference on Parties on Climate Change in the year 2011 was held on. Very direct question, very easy question. This was held at South Africa. Correct answer is South Africa. So, these are some important conferences you have to remember as well, where they happened and what are the different dates in which they were happened. This was happened around in the 28th of November to 3rd of December, I guess so. So, in that particular, they basically happened in the South Africa and are related to the climate change, right? Different climatic changes were there and basically they were focusing on the greenhouse gases. This is because the major focus was to decrease the amount of the greenhouse gases by the developed countries. So, this was the question number 3. Correct option is a B. Rachel Carson famous book Silent Spring is related to. A major revolution was there after this book came, that was a Silent Spring. The major revolution was in the case of the pesticide. Before that, we were using pesticide because of the green revolution. We were using the pesticide in a very high amount because what we want a good yield, and that yield can be attained by when the pesticides are not there. When pesticides are not there, the pests are not able to attack. Now what will happen? The yield will increase. This was the major reason for the green revolution. After some time, we realized that after the introduction of this book, we realized that these pesticides are causing detrimental effect on non-target organisms as well. They are causing a detrimental effect on human body as well. So, this was a major thing which was mentioned in this particular book, that was Silent Spring, that is related to the pesticide pollution. So, this is a very important book and you have to remember this as well. And majorly after this book only the revolution was done and the ban of DDT occurred. Ban of DDT, and the problem which was associated with the DDT is the biomagnification. So, this you have to remember. We have already discussed in the first question biomagnification. That means increasing in the concentration of the toxicant with increasing trophic level. This is called as a biomagnification. So, the correct option for the question number 4 is the A, pesticide pollution. Now, let us discuss about the question number 5. In this question, I have tried to compile some of the important toxicant and what are the diseases which are caused by these. Very good question. So, the reason why I have included this question is that you have to maintain one another chart in which you have to write some important toxicant and what are the diseases which are caused by them. And what were the major tragedies that were associated with some of these chemicals? First, let's talk about the mercury. Mercury causes Minamata disease. So, for the correct option, that is for the mercury, they causes a Minamata disease. A, that is option 2 is correct. That means this is correct, this might be correct, this might be correct, and this might be correct, right? Next we have is a lead. Lead is a major problem today we are facing, and because of that lead accumulation, this causes plumbism. The disease which is associated with the lead is called as a plumbism. That means for the B option, we know that, for the B option, we know that either the first one is correct, so this one and this one might be correct. Let's look for the C option, cadmium. Cadmium is caused by, cadmium causes Itai disease. Cadmium causes Itai disease. So, the correct option for the C is the third one. So, this seems to be right, this seems to be wrong. Next is a hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon is that which causes a major cancer. Major cancers are because of the excess uses of the hydrocarbon. So, the correct option for the D is option number 4, that is a cancer. So, hope the things are clear to you, and the correct option for the question number 5th is the A option, right? 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 4. This was the, let's talk about the next question number 6. The anxiety and the stress reaction are caused by. Anxiety and the stress reaction, majorly they have given certain pollutions, water, nuclear, noise and the air pollution, and we have to look for the exact option. Anxiety and the stress reactions are caused by. Anxiety and the stress reaction are caused by the noise pollution. Whenever we see that some noise around us is there very high, some noise is very high, and that is very annoying also. After some time you realize that you become so anxious and you become so stressful that you want that anyhow you have to stop that particular voice which is coming from the source. How you can do that? Like what actually is happening in their body, that is because of the whole central nervous system is affected. Whenever the voice which is above our limit is there, we can see that changes within our nature is seen, right? So, majorly this is because of the noise pollution. That means noise affect what? Central nervous system. Central nervous system. They evoke our central nervous system. When they evoke our central nervous system, they causes anxiety. They causes anxiety, and we want to do anything to stop that particular noise, and our nature will be very bad at that time. So, this is related to the noise pollution, because we have some specific limits for those noises, and that noise is measured in the decibel. Whenever we cross that limit, this become very bad to our ears. We don't feel good at that particular time. So, this is because of a stimulant in the central nervous system. So, the correct option is a C, noise pollution. Now, nowadays, use of DDT insecticide is banned. Now, what is DDT? DDT is a diphenyl trichloroethane. DDT. This is a full form of DDT. Nowadays, use of DDT as insecticide is banned because, as we have discussed, that from one trophic level to another. Suppose this is a first trophic level. This is a second trophic level. This is a third trophic level. first trophic level, second trophic level and the third trophic level, we can see that increase in the concentration of DDT was seen because the DDT has inherent capability to accumulate within the body tissues. When they accumulate within the body tissue, the major problem is that whenever a species or organism of another species, they come and attack on these, they remain suspended in those organisms as well. Because they are not feeding on one particular organism, they are feeding on the n number of the organism, so the concentration is more as we go towards the another end. This type of accumulation, that means from one trophic level they transfer to the second trophic level, from second trophic level they transfer to the third trophic level. This is how, if it goes on, then it is called as a biomagnification. Biomagnification. And if I talk about the DDT, DDT is non-biodegradable. Non-biodegradable. This is non-biodegradable, right? This is a major problem which is associated with the DDT. Now let's come at the question number 7. Let's discuss options. It is less effective than other pesticide. It was not less effective. In fact, it was more effective than other pesticide. So this is a wrong one. If it is less effective, then it could have removed. But this is not the reason. Organism developed resistance for it. Production cost is very high. Organism caused resistance for it. That means organism, they were not responding to this particular DDT, the pests were not responding to the DDT. But the major problem was not that, the problem was related to the magnification, that means increase the concentration with increasing trophic level. So this is not a right one. Next we have is the production cost is very high. No, this was very cheap in fact. So it has a long residual effect. This is a major problem which was associated with the DDT, that's why it is banned. Let's talk about the next question. So for question number 7, the correct option is D. Now, another question. This is also related to some diseases. Now let's talk about next question, question number 8. Match the following columns. In this question, we have to match the two columns, column 1 and the column 2. Column 1 indicate photochemical smog, arsenic pollution, manganese pollution, decadmium pollutions. Column 2 indicate itai, Parkinson disease, Blackfoot disease, burning of the petrol and the diesel with oxides of nitrogen. This question is quite typical. And this is also related to some of the metals and their pollutions. And what are the different diseases which are caused by those elements. First, it is written over here, photochemical smog. Photochemical smog is a smog which is formed in the environment. This photochemical smog. Photochemical smog. Photochemical smog is a major problem that we are facing today, and this causes respiratory disorders. Respiratory disorders. And why? What is the reason behind the production of the photochemical smog? That is because of burning of fossil fuels like petrol, diesels, petrol and the diesel. By burning of the petrol and the diesel, the photochemical smog is produced that remains suspending in air for the longer duration. This is somehow black in color and they causes respiratory disorders. Majorly, asthma is associated with this. Asthma is associated with this, right? So come back to the question. A, photochemical smog, the correct option is the 4, that is a burning of petrol, diesel with oxides of nitrogen. That means for the A, the fourth one is correct. That means the 4 different options, they seems to be correct. Now we have to look for the another options. Arsenic pollution. Arsenic is a major problem. This is because some arsenic toxicity, if there arsenic toxicity is there in the water. Because of this, they causes some black foot disease, and that black foot disease, our whole limbs, they have some black patches over them, and those black patches is because of the arsenic pollution. So majorly this arsenic pollution, this is related to when they remain in the water for and whenever an organism they consume this water, they causes a black foot disease. In that, what happens? Black patches on foot and arms, hands also it is seen. Hands also it is seen. This is arsenic pollution, and this is also called as BFD. BFD, that is a black foot disease. Black foot disease. Now next we have, so we were looking for the option. For the B, the correct option is the 3. For the B, the correct option is the 3. So this and this might be right. Next we have is a manganese pollution. Manganese pollution is related to neurogenetic disorders. They causes neurodegenerative disorders, and that is called as a Parkinson disease. Majorly nowadays, many of the old age people, they are suffering from the Parkinson disease, in which the basically the junction between the one neurons to another, that junction is affected. They will not be able to respond. In this case, what happened? The impulse affect nerve impulse transmission. They affect nerve impulse transmission, and the patients, they suffer from dementia. Dementia. Now, what is dementia? Dementia is also called as this memory loss. Memory loss, right? In this, the receptors, they are unable to respond to the neurotransmitters. Unable to respond to neurotransmitter. So nerve impulse transmission will occur, and this is because of the manganese pollution. This is because of the manganese pollution. Because of the manganese pollution, the receptors, they are unable to respond to the neurotransmitters. What happens is that they bind to the they bind to those receptors. They will not allow the binding of the neurotransmitter. Can you give an example of neurotransmitter? For example, acetylcholine. Acetylcholine, GABA, etc. Gamma aminobutyric acid. These act as a neurotransmitter which help in transmission of nerve impulse. So the correct option, we know that for manganese is a Parkinson. So we have to look for the option, the 2. So this seems to be correct one, manganese, yeah. Cadmium pollution, we have already discussed in the previous some few questions that cadmium is associated with the Itai disease. They are associated with the Itai disease. That means for the D option, the correct option is the first one. So among matching all of these, I know that this B option is the correct one. So the fourth question, number 8, the correct option is the option 2. Now, natural insecticide which is obtained from neem. What is the scientific name of neem? That is Aza directa indica. Aza directa indica. From the neem, the insecticide is prepared, and the name of that insecticide is azadirachtin. This is the insecticide which is produced from the Azadirachtica indica. Now, whenever we talk about some organic chemicals, some chemicals like DDT, we know that the problem which is associated with the DDT is that they causes biomagnification. That means from one trophic level to another, the concentration is increasing. Major problem is that. But the major why we are moving towards these neem as a director indica is that this doesn't act on non-target organism, doesn't target non-target organism. Likewise, no biomagnification, no residual effect is seen, right? And majorly doesn't affect human being health also. Doesn't affect human health also. So that's why we are shifting from using the DDT as it is already banned, from the use of neem, which produce a chemical which is called as azadirachtin, and azadirachtin, they act as an insecticide. They help in killing insects, but they doesn't act on the non-target organisms as well as on they doesn't cause biomagnification and doesn't affect the human health. So that's why the shifting we are going in this direction. So for the ninth question, the azadirachtin, this seems to be the right one. Next we have is a nicotine. And nicotine is not at all the source, or it's not a natural insecticide. The DDT is also not natural. So the correct option for the ninth is the option number A. Hope the things are clear to you. Question number 9. So next question we have is related to the greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is due to accumulation of ozone and depletion of oxygen, accumulation of ozone and carbon dioxide, depletion of carbon dioxide and ozone, accumulation of green plants. Now, what do you mean by this greenhouse effect? Let's discuss about greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is that effect which causes warming of surrounding. If this greenhouse effect is not there, the temperature of earth, they could be in around minus 15 degrees Celsius, the temperature could be there if no greenhouse is there. If no greenhouse effect is there. Now, what this greenhouse effect do? This is an earth surface. This is an earth surface and this is our environment. And I have a sun present over here. Light rays, they come on the surface of earth like this. Out of the whole light rays, those light rays, some are emitted like this. Only 1/4 of these, they are emitted like this. Whereas rest, they come to the surface of earth. when they come to the surface of earth, some are also reflected back as they are converted into the infrared rays, and these infrared rays causes heating effect over here. Some of those rays which enter into the earth's surface, and we know that the greenhouse gases, they are present all over here. And what is the function of these greenhouse gases? They trap those infrared rays, the long waves, and they again reflect back these rays onto the earth's surface. When they reflect back these gases onto the earth's surface, the temperature of earth is increased. Temperature of earth is increased. Temperature of earth is increased. Let's take in one example. Suppose what I have is a glass, you can say one glass chamber is there, a big glass chamber we have. In that particular glass chamber or the glass room, what I saw that light rays, they are entering into it. I have kept that whole glass chamber into a sun rays. What I will see that the light rays will try to enter into it. When light rays, they will try to enter into it, they will not be able to escape, and they causes heating effect over there. This is a whole procedure of the greenhouse gases. Whenever we see that how these greenhouse gases, they are achieved, this is because there is presence of certain greenhouse gases, and that greenhouse gases causes greenhouse flux. This is because of the reason that is accumulation of ozone and depletion of oxygen. This is because of accumulation of ozone. Whenever the ozone is there in the troposphere, they act as a pollution source. They act as those gases which increase the temperature. So accumulation of the ozone and depletion of the oxygen, this is one of the reason for the greenhouse effect. So the correct option for the 10th question is option A. Right. Now hope all of these 10 questions, they are very clear to you. I have tried to incorporate each and every topics, but try to repeat these questions, try to practice more and more questions, because more you will practice, more you will be perfect, right? Students, so this is all about today's session. We'll meet in the next session and we'll discuss some more questions.